bother me, but you can save that information.
You were spry.
Yeah, but it makes it sound like, hey, Steiny, hey, it's just 1 out of every 14 days.
But I know
Steiny's
what it is. Spadoni's back, so you're juiced.
I like Spadoni.
Spadoni back in the house.
I like Spadoni.
Yeah, we all do.
What's up, Joe? Welcome back. You got me upset during the absence, too, about Disneyland. We'll talk about that more.
Best place on earth.
What do you expect with Disneyland? Everybody's trying to game the system down there. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying at Disneyland. All right, I'm going to be honest. There's something I hate. I can't stand Sundays when the Niners don't play. I can't stand
Did it feel empty?
It's
because it changes today. We're going to get into them, but
no doubt.
Well, I'll tell you what. I can see clearly now. Oh. The Cowboys are gone. Now you're right. The cream is rising to the top. I watched yesterday the Chiefs. I'm envisioning the Dolphins and Niners McDaniel Shanahan Super Bowl. I'll leave that there for you to react to.
I'm not going to react to it because we're still in week 3 of the NFL season.
You do got a point.
So a lot of different things can happen. And the Niners, obviously, watching games this weekend, they're 3-0. Don't sleep on the Cardinals.
It was 14-point spread early.
I'll tell you what. I would jump on the Cardinals right now. 14 points? That's a lot.
Well, when you're good, that's what happens.
Yeah. 14, though. As who's the guy who said, boy, good question, Tim Roy.
Yeah. Almost that time.
This happened late in the day on Friday. In case you weren't here. The 49ers extended John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. And if you do the math, these guys are under – we're not exactly sure. I'm sure the precise information will come out in a little bit. But these guys are under contract for at least another 5 years at this point.
Business is good.
They were at least to 2025 before this extension. You give them 2 years, that takes you all the way through 2027.
Stability.
Maybe 2028. Yeah, stability, but
what's the but?
They really haven't done what they've been brought here to do yet, right? And they still would have had this year and the next 2 years.
But you were preaching, it ain't about the ring. It is, but it's about what has changed under the tenure of Lynch and Kyle, and you've got a Super Bowl, multiple visits to the NFC Championship game. Just last year, you were in that game. You told me business is good.
They were under contract through 2025.
So you wanted to keep a little heat on.
I mean,
why not?
Let this year finish. You still have 2 more years. They still have 2 more years.
But if I were to ask you, Lynch, no shade, what NFL coach would you want running your team and calling your offense right now, especially after another week in the NFL? You don't mean that.
Of course I
do. He's
on
fire right now. But other than Mike, no, we're not going to. Mike McDaniel ain't been to a Super Bowl and multiple NFC Championship games. So I'm not mad at that answer, but that's not the right answer.
It might be. Mike McDaniel might be a better coach than Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah,
we don't know that. We don't know he's not
Time
yet.
will tell. Shout out Morris Day.
And time will tell about Shanahan.
Yeah, but his skins are on the wall, if you want to call him that.
See,
Super Bowl visit, multiple NFC Championship game. Yeah.
Super Bowl visit.
No doubt. That's a big deal.
Okay.
And Miami, Steiny, I think their kryptonite, we'll find out if they continue to ball, is good weather. They got to play in, it's got to be 80 degrees. It ain't going to be that in December and January. Not saying they can't do it, but you shock me in the sense that, to me, this is a signal that York is like, what I'm watching is real. Okay. This dude may not even be in his bag yet.
He's like you. He's convinced after 3 games.
No, come on, Steiny. I told you the Niners were the number 1 team to me coming into this season, and I've seen nothing right now. If you want to go AFC, well, I'll combine them. That doesn't have me feeling that way. I feel stronger.
Here's my point.
Yeah.
And I don't care that they got extensions. I don't actually think it's right or wrong. I don't think it's too early or too late. But what I think is interesting is we've got a fan base here that's made up and comprised of a lot of 49er fans who are, and I'll say it for the 8 millionth time, Super Bowl or bust. So if you're a Super Bowl or bust, and we hang banners here, and that's Jed York saying that, not me or any fan. We hang banners here. Isn't it logical to ask, well, then why would you extend them when they still had 2.5 more years left, but they haven't gotten the big prize yet? I'm playing devil's advocate.
That is fair.
He hasn't gotten the big prize.
But let's be real.
We're all talking about
the fan base, who I love, Steiny, that's not the case upstairs in headquarters in Santa Clara.
What do you mean?
There is no bus for Kyle now with this contract extension. Now, the fan base is going to say that.
Exactly.
But there is no, but almost like Farhan and Kapler. This is a bad year. Head's going to roll. They didn't even have to deal with that stress. And Kyle knows this is my baby. I'm going to be here. So you're right on the bus, but the reality now after Friday's news, there is no bust for Kyle because of the extensions.
Well, but he's going to start feeling pressure the longer it goes.
I think he feels that now just because he's a competitor and wants to get what his daddy got 2 of. And that's a Super Bowl.
9-5. Well, everybody wants a Super Bowl. Doesn't mean you get it. 888-957-9570 is the number. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are going to be around for a long time. Long time. At least 5 more years after they've been extended. You happy with that? If you're a 49er fan,
there you go.
What you see over the last 6 or 7 years with Shanahan, does that make you comfortable enough to say, you know what, let's extend him so that he's here at least 10 or 12 total years, give him a big, big window to win the Super Bowl? Or do you think it was a little bit premature? Was it a little bit premature? Everything's going well right now. Right now. It didn't have to get done right now, but Jed York got it done right now. So are you okay with that, 49er fans? 888-957-9570 is the number if you want to jump in and talk about that. They're under contract for, we don't even know how long they're under contract, but we got to figure it's at least 5 more years.
And he's going to, in those 5 years, what we're going to see is Brock Purdy, his maturation process, and we're going to watch Kyle will, under his tutelage, the puberty of Brock Purdy and how high he can get and the heights this team can reach with him as the quarterback. Almost a match made in heaven, man.
I can't help but think of Kerr and Myers. So Bob Myers had won 4 titles. Saying somebody tell me the difference if there is one. I'm just comparing situations. Bob Myers had won 4 titles as a GM, and he went into last season as a lame duck. 4 titles, and Myers went into his last season as a lame duck.
I'll never understand.
Steve Kerr, 4 titles. This is his last year. That's usually when you get extended, not 2.5 years before. So I get it. And that team's got banners. The Golden State Warriors have banners.
4 of them.
And they're figuring out right now if they're going to extend Steve Kerr past this year. And Bob Myers, they let work with on the last year of his deal. Two different ways to go about it, and yet the one that, I guess, is it safe to say, well, Lacob held those guys' feet to the fire more than Jed York? We're talking about 4 titles, and Joe Lacob's letting them get up against their last contract. Yeah. The 49ers haven't won a Super Bowl, and they're extending guys 3 years before they need to. It's just kind of interesting.
No, it totally is, and I don't know if, like we said, we saw that awkward presser with Lacob and Myers together, and Joe was kind of not in denial, like Steiny, I'm paraphrasing, but it felt like he didn't know the seriousness of what was at stake and the possibility that Bob could leave. But maybe Bob, like you had talked about, was tired and had his eyes on something else. But you didn't throw Klay Thompson in there. I expect him to get extended before training camp. Now we're within 6 days of that happening. Kerr too. So we'll see how it plays out.